All right. Happy Tuesday, folks. So today we're going to kind of wrap up our instruction on the Industrial Revolution. I know it's been a while, but we're finally done. So now, you know, after today, well, let me rephrase that. After you watch this today, you have no assignment. So work on that project. For the rest of the week, that's all you're doing, working on your project. All right. So, government and economic systems that pop up. So, the rise in economic power led to new ideas of how governments and economies should be run. And kind of the big three that we see are capitalism, socialism, and communism. You've probably heard of these, but you might not know what all they entail. So, we're going to go over them. So, capitalism, right? That's the one that we all know. Private ownership of businesses. Businesses are not owned by the government, they are owned by private citizens. This encourages competition, right? You want to compete with people. Prices are determined by supply and demand. If the supply is really high, but the demand is really low, you're going to make the prices go down, right? Supply goes up, demand goes down. Demand goes up, but supply goes down. That's going to make the prices of stuff even higher. And of course, the United States of America is a capitalist society, right? We encourage competition. Businesses are generally owned by private people. So we are capitalist. Okay. But there are some other ideas on how to run governments and economies. One of those is socialism. So, some characteristics of socialism: all means of production should be with the people or with the government. Wealth and income should be split more equally. Because in capitalism, you have people that get really, really rich and people that stay really, really poor. So socialism says we should kind of split wealth more equally among the people, and that the government has a responsibility to redistribute wealth to make society fair. So it's the government's job to take money from rich people and redistribute it to people that are poor, right? That's socialism. Kind of the government's playing Robin Hood type of thing. That is the idea of socialism. Okay. Now, granted, socialism like this has almost never actually been enacted, right? Because what's my saying from Lord Byron that I like to use? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So keep this in mind. The government is going to redistribute wealth and make society fair. Yeah, right. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And the last one, communism. So Karl Marx is kind of credited as being the inventor of communism. He's a German guy. Wrote the Communist Manifesto in 1848, kind of the handbook for communism. In communism, there is no private property at all. The people should ultimately be in control of the economy. The community should control the economy. That's where the name communism comes from, right? But before we can give total control to the people, we kind of have to go through a transition period. And in that transition period, the government, again, should control things in the name of the people. The government should control all business, all prices, all distribution of wealth, all distribution of property. Government should control absolutely everything before, in the name of the people, before the people could actually be given control themselves. And the main goal here, according to Marx, is economic equality. You want everybody to be equal. Everybody has the same house, everybody has one cow, everybody has a certain amount of land, same amount of land. Everybody's the same in the economy. Now, again, what does power do? Power corrupts. And what does absolute power do? It corrupts absolutely. So if the government is controlling everything in the name of the people, is that going to work out really good for the people? No, probably not, right? And we will examine communism a lot further when we talk about the Cold War, talk about communism in the Soviet Union, in Cuba, in North Vietnam, in North Korea. We'll talk about all sorts of communism, right? So that's the kind of overview of capitalism, socialism, and communism. And with all this being said, think about our whole unit. Where do we go from here? So I'm going to pose that question to you. Where do we go from here? In fact, let me pose another question. When dealing with all this industry, we need natural resources. And those natural resources are found in places like Africa, for example. But who controls Africa? We're going to find out who controls Africa. And people want to protect their resources around the world, right? So you're going to want to build militaries. You're going to want to get a bunch of arms. You're going to want to make alliances with other countries to help protect your stuff. We talked about that a little bit after we finished up Napoleon, alliances, because an alliance beat Napoleon. So we're going to talk about kind of 4 factors going forward. We're going to talk about militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism, and how those 4 things will help shape the world in the 20th century. So think on that. Keep working on your Industrial Revolution projects, and we will jump into militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism when we come back. Have a great one, guys.